Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to check out my channel. And make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you guys can get the latest updates on my videos and stuff like that as well. So during the 2020 pandemic, we're talking about around like March. I think it was around like February 2020 when everything started to lock down. And my particular occupation deals with things like this. If you guys don't know, I do go and I go and disinfect businesses for COVID-19. So if they had a positive case at the job or something like that, I go in and I disinfect the building to do the best of our ability to remove the virus from the environment, right? So it really affected a lot of people. And, there are moments that we had to let go of people that we did not see as essential. So we lost a lot of people that were at the front desk. We lost a couple of delivery drivers. We lost a couple of just people that didn't have to lose their job, but we had to do it anyways to save money. And this is, and like I said, I'm in California. We're in the strictest lockdown that in the whole entire United States of America. And on top of that, our Governor Newsom, he defied FDA guidelines. I mean, the CDC guidelines. So there were statistics or data that suggest that young kids, little kindergarten kids, not even like teenagers or middle school kids were transmitting the virus. It was more of high school kids or and adults, I think, that were transmitting the disease. And there was data and stuff like that, but they still kept the school closed. Why? Because of the fucking unions. Okay? And so it was, until this day, the school is still on lockdown. I mean, my son's in quarantine because of his runny nose. The health and human Services Department of Fresno called me right now and asked me questions if we have ever exposed ourselves to COVID-19 patients and stuff like that. She didn't really. It was hard for me to understand what she was saying, and she was trying to get me to tell her where I went and stuff like that. And I told her, I go, look, lady. I go, we did not go out to parties or anything like that. The entire lockdown, I've kept myself inside and only go outside for essential businesses. I mean, we visit family members in Tonopah, Nevada. They caught the virus last year in February when it all happened. So they don't have it anymore. And so she was trying to ask where we went, pretty much contact tracing. And I told her, I go, you know what? Maybe possibly I got it at Walmart or these super centers that are allowed to stay open, okay? Schools are closed, but these super centers and stuff like that is allowed to stay open. That's corporations for you. I mean, it's like this whole entire lockdown. It's like, I'm not necessarily scared of the disease. I'm worried about the precautions that majority of these blue states did, and it really damaged a lot of people, as you can see right here. So, some immigrants hard hit by economic fallout lose home. That's sad. New York. Sotero Guerrillo, sleeps in a small blue tent under a train track bridge in Elmhurst, Queens. The 55-year-old immigrant from Mexico used to make $800 per week at two Manhattan restaurants, which closed when the COVID-19 pandemic started. A few months later, he couldn't afford the rent in his Bronx room. Wow. And afterwards, of another room in Queens he moved into. I never thought I would end up like this. Like I am today, he said in Spanish, his eyes filling up with tears. Grillo who mainly speaks an indigenous language called Talapanek. It's part of an increasing number of unauthorized immigrants who are falling through the cracks due to the coronavirus pandemic, some advocates and nonprofits say. They worked in hard-hit industries such as restaurants, hospitality, or construction. And lack of income has impacted their ability to afford food and rent, pushing some out of their homes. Unemployment among Hispanic immigrants has doubled in the U.S., going from 4.8% in January 2020 to 8.8% in February 2021, according to the Migration Policy Institute. These numbers don't take into consideration immigrant status, but activists and social workers in states like New York or California say more vulnerable immigrants who often don't qualify for aid are finding themselves without a home. Well, maybe you guys shouldn't have fucking lockdown in the first place. How about that? I mean, I remember when we and before the May riots, the numbers were starting to drop in California. Everything was starting to go back into place. People were getting back to their life back to normal, and then the riots happened, and people have made the argument that we should put everything on lockdown. We should cancel rent. We should cancel all these bills and stuff like that. We should do all this. It's easier said than done, and this lockdown has proved to be pretty much a detrimental to not only economically, but societal as well in case of the situation. And it's sad because I'm around these people and I'm in Fresno and I've seen everybody just getting up and move because they're so sick of the fucking lockdown here in California because nothing is getting done. Our cases is a lot better ever since the vaccination started. But then when we didn't have the vaccine, our numbers were similar to Florida, who had like the least strictest lockdown, right? 2 weeks to flatten the curve a year later. I have seen an increase of encampments of immigrants experiencing homelessness in Queens. Each has 5 or 6 tents, said Yesenia Benendez, a 30-year-old licensed clinical social worker who helps these groups. Right now, they're adapting by collecting bottles, but they're not working folks. They want to contribute to society, and before the pandemic, they were contributing to society, and some of them were paying taxes, said Benendez. In Los Angeles, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights have seen a significant increase of calls to hotline of assistance for immigrants over the last 6 months, says George Mario Cabrera, the spokesman for the organization. We have seen an increase in calls from individuals living in the street, living in cars, living in the garage, or often living with friends in already overcrowded condition. But look at that. That can transmit COVID-19. They don't really think about these things. The governor of New York, the governor of California, they don't think about these things. They only think about themselves. And if you look at Newsom, who was hanging out with his buddy at the French Laundry, eating like $300, $400 plates. This guy's, Governor Newsom is eating a plate of food that costs the amount of this particular person's income he made working at 2 restaurants. You know what I mean? Rule for me, but not for thee. Especially for our most vulnerable of people. That's getting pretty much the end of the stick. This one, they're not getting anything. They're homeless. They're living out in the street, and an increase not only in homelessness, but also there's a lot of alcohol abuse. There's also a lot of child abuse. It's like the data is coming in. Lockdowns is detrimental to our health. So sad. So they don't even have money to pay for their phone bills. This is where we're saying that one of the side effects of COVID-19 pandemic is in fact the complete unraveling of the safety net for undocumented immigrants. He added, while other communities are receiving financial assistance, immigrants are receiving nothing most of the time. Cabrera said many of the immigrants calling are essential workers who have income been drastically reduced. In New York, Gorilla's tent is next to the others that have been at the spot for several homeless immigrants that set up the Elmhurst encampment in September. Recently, the group sat on top of milk crates and talked below a wall painted with colorful graffiti. Next to the tents, there are backpacks, blankets, and bags full of empty bottles and cans for recycling. 3 small dogs lay next to the men, accepting their gentle pats. We don't deserve dogs. Alfredo Martinez tint is green. Also a Mexican immigrant. The 38-year-old Martinez used to work in construction, but his hours were reduced when the pandemic started. Lack of steady income increased tension with the roommate, and he ended up in the street where he had lived for the last 4 months. Martinez now works sporadically as a day laborer and is hoping to save enough to rent a room and also afford the 40-hour occupational safety and health administration training course he says needs to have more steady construction employment. The pandemic started and my world came crashing down. Not just for Martinez, everybody else as well. Well, I'm sorry, not everybody else. The upper elites, they're fine. They're fine. But the poor people at the bottom, the peasants, we got the end of the stick. The people that's making the rule and destroying our lives, they're getting away with it. They're getting away with it. And this is, I'm not trying to be angry at my Democratic buddies, but you voted these fuckers in. And they're hurting the people that you claim that you're fighting for. And I hate that I'm getting fiery up talking about this. I'm not trying to control my emotions. But I am one of those vulnerable people. I'm seeing these things. I mean, we have to let go of people that we shouldn't have to let go. Because we couldn't afford it. Because this pandemic really fucked us up. I get it. Everybody is scared. I totally understand. Wear your mask, wash your hands 6 feet apart. But we have to open back the economy. We have to put things back in order so we can save people like this who did not deserve it. These are hard-working people that trying to make their extra bucks. Okay? But no, the so-called Democrats, they don't give a fuck about the people that they care for, that they claim to care for, because these are elites. They don't live in our world. They don't know what it is to work 40 hours per week, doing a fucking job that we hate to feed our family. These are upper elite class. The bourgeoisie. They're the ones making all the rules for us peasants at the bottom. They can do whatever they please. They can go get their hair cut. They can go get their hair did. They can do anything that they want to do. But not us, the bottom, the peasants. This is so sad. The pandemic started and my world came crashing down. Okay. According to the recent New York City report, there are approximately 476,000 unauthorized immigrants in the city. The Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs estimated in a report that 60% of unauthorized workers have already lost their jobs or are at risk of losing their jobs during the pandemic, compared to 36% of all workers. The poverty rate for unauthorized immigrants in the city is 29.2% higher than the 27% poverty rate for green card holders and migrants who with other statuses. According to the report, the poverty rate for the U.S. born in New York is 20%. Immigrants in the country illegally can't access stimulus help or unemployment benefits, even if they pay taxes. Some cities and states have, however, pushed efforts to help. California gave some cash to unauthorized immigrants last year, and New York lawmakers recently created a $2.1 billion fund to aid workers who lost their jobs or income during the pandemic, but were excluded from other government relief programs because of their immigration status. The program is the largest of its kind in the U.S. In Arizona, advocacy groups say immigrants, women who clean hotel rooms are suffering financially, and things got harder for them with schools closed and kids at home. Yeah, online schooling again. And this is the situation that I was in as a parent, because I couldn't even put my son to school. And he's autistic. And he's going to be one of the generation that's really screwed up in the future. It's going to be really interesting to see. This one lady made a tiendita store out of her apartment. She was selling gum. She was selling soda. She was selling whatever she could to the people that live in the apartment complex. Pretty much the same thing that my dad did. So she could make enough money to pay rent. Said Petra Falcon, executive director of Promise Arizona, a nonprofit in Phoenix. Spokespeople at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development say they had no data they could provide now on the impact of the pandemic on homelessness. According to the latest HUD report, the number of people experiencing homelessness nationwide increased by 2% between 2019 and 2020, or 12,751 more people, making the fourth consecutive annual increase in homelessness. Almost a quarter of all people experience homelessness. 23% were Hispanic or Latino. Guerrillo, the 55-year-old Mexican experiencing homelessness in Elmer, said he hopes to move back to his native country one day. My children have asked me to go back, he said, but I can't go back like this. That is pretty unfortunate. That this story is really sad. And this is pretty common. I mean, especially like here in California, like with the homelessness and stuff, like it's going like through the roof. And it's unfortunate that that is happening, and nobody is doing well. They're trying. There's people that's helping these people, but everything has to be opened up. Sorry about that, guys. Did not mean to end that video that fast because my dog was barking. It's really distracting. So, anyways, we have to open everything up at this point because the data is coming in and it's proving that the lockdown is terrible, a terrible idea. So the WHO flip-flops again, now says COVID-19 lockdowns are bad. After instigating a global panic about the coronavirus pandemic, the World Health Organization now insists that the government should not use lockdown in combating the virus. So which is it? When I see articles like this and talk about the World Health Organization say, oh no, okay, never mind, the lockdowns were bad after all. This is what I'm talking about because we have people who are incompetent running our government institution. They're running our educational system. They're running everything. And this is what I'm talking about. It's hurting the people that they are claiming to protect. So you can look this up, and remember, guys, to use DuckDuckGo. You're not going to find all this information using Google or Bing or anything like that because it's censored. So make sure you use DuckDuckGo so you can find a more open and clear information in front of you instead of all these like CNN and stuff like that and Fox News. Go to DuckDuckGo, use this so you can see articles like this and and help you out and see what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not denying the pandemic or anything like that. And I'm sure, and the disease, COVID-19 disease, we don't even have information on that because of fucking China hiding that. You know what I mean? We don't know the origin. In order for us to solve this issue, we have to know the origin of the disease. But we don't have that either. Because of people just hiding their asses. The scientists are protecting their asses. The politicians are protecting their asses. It's just unfortunate. Even the pharmaceutical companies are. Even, it was like recently Bill Gates was hiding the patent for COVID-19. You know what I mean? So, it's sad. I mean, it was like this whole pandemic has exposed us, the people at the bottom, exposed these corrupt pieces of shit, and we're not going to do anything about it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me and the algorithm so more people can see videos like this. I do have a podcast called the Far Out Wisdom Podcast, so make sure you guys check that out at faroutwisdom.podbean.com. As you can see, it has my recent episode and stuff like that. So there you go. And then it's like I said, it's available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and all these good stuff. It's available on pretty much all the podcast player of your choice. So I really hope you guys check me out as well. And make sure you guys leave a review on Apple Podcasts to help me as well, because everything that I'm doing at the moment, I'm doing it out of my own pocket. So you guys make donations, stuff like that, it really helps. But other than that, if you guys enjoy this video, if you guys just enjoy my presence, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And as always, guys, I love you. Bye.